Leave no trace is the practice of minimum impact on our environment. Although it has its start in backpacking communities, it is applicable to all communities. We live here on this planet and we need to take care of it, and it is our responsibility to do so. Throughout the rest of this video, we are going to talk about different principles of leave no trace and how we can better apply it to our lives and ways that we can practice it as we go out into the wilderness.
Hello, and welcome to the Great Outdoors. Today we will be talking about the Leave No Trace principles, starting with the first one. The first Leave No Trace principle is planning and preparation. Before you even come out to the Great Outdoors, you first need to plan out your trip. This includes things like deciding where you're gonna go, who are you gonna be with, what do you want to eat on this trip, also what location will you be going to, what trails will you be taking. But also, it includes deeper thinking. Things like, are there permits required in this area? Before you even go, you need to figure out these things. Another great thing to think about before you go on your trip are things like, are there any restrictions for the area, such as fire restrictions? This could really interfere with your plans and create such a not enjoyable time if problems do arise and you have no way to fix them or treat them. So, it's always important to be prepared in the wilderness.
When we build a campsite, we have to do at least 200 feet from water sources so that animals have the rite of passage towards that water source so they don't feel pressured or provoked. So what we do is when we create a campsite, we usually do it on existing trails or campsites to prevent creation of new trails and campsites, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say at that point is we don't want to create wildlife that hasn't been already created, or campsites that haven't been already created. So something like this would work fine. Usually this would be, it's at least 200 feet from water source, and there isn't a slope where runoff of water in case of rain comes down on the back side of your tent, and it is really a good source for a campsite.
Waste out in the woods, there are no latrines oftentimes, so you'll have to dig a cat hole. A cat hole is a hole you dig about 6 to 8 inches down so that you can do your business in said hole and cover it up again. What I like to do when I'm doing this is I like to find a rock, remove it from the ground, and it already gives you the start of a hole. All you have to do then is dig a couple more inches and you've got a nice cat hole. There's multiple methods of leaving human waste in the vicinity. So one method is to pack in your own toilet paper. Problem, you have to pack it out, which is exciting. Or what I like to do is just to find like leaves or rocks that I can use to clean myself. So like leaves like this where they're like softer, I mean maybe not as dead as these, work really well, but also I like to find smooth river rocks. They do the job nicely. When you're cleaning up after your camp spot, or even as you're walking along the trail, be sure to make sure to leave as little impact on the environment as possible, making sure to pick up trash as you go. As you leave your camp spot, make sure just to do a once over, make sure you collect anything that you may have left.
Stop! You need to leave what you find.
It's important that when you go into the outdoors, that you leave everything the way that you found it. Avoid the urge to take souvenirs with you. When I went hiking, I used to bring little cool looking rocks with me on my way out, and I realized that that's not a good practice, that you should leave it where you found it. And also, avoid moving really important to leave everything the way that it was and make it so that when the next hiker comes through, they can never even tell that you were ever there. What do you take with you? Photographs. What do you leave behind? Footprints.
Fires are very important. To make sure your fires are small because they can have a lasting impact on the environment and the place that you're camping. Recommended that you have a well-built, sturdy fire ring like the one here. And when you're gathering wood, make sure you're finding wood that's already on the ground that you can easily break with your hands. And we're going to keep our fire small. You're gathering kindling and other pieces of wood. So we're going to build a fire here. This is a great place because it's well ventilated. Smoke's going to go straight up and there's no wind. So when the fire is done burning, you want to grab it and make sure your fire is completely out, burning down all of your coal to ashes. You're going to put those out with your water and spread it amongst places so it doesn't have a lasting impact. Remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
It's really important to respect the wildlife. Once animals know that they can panhandle food, they start to become a nuisance. Wait! Stop right there! Don't feed the animals! When you feed the animals, it can be really dangerous for them, and it can be dangerous for people and property. Plus, they can become dependent, and they can spread disease, or it might even cause injury.
Stop! It's important to respect the wildlife and observe from afar. Don't seek out a better look. You don't want to scare them or cause them to flee. Remember, this is their home. You're just passing through.
Another thing to consider when planning your trip is dividing larger groups into smaller camps. Larger groups can damage the environment, which can disturb wildlife. Also, when camping, make sure that you are camping at least 200 feet away from any water sources so that animals in the areas can have access to it and it won't spook them.
When you're on the trail, you want to respect others. If they're coming up the mountain and you're going down, you want to let them pass because it's easier to have them keep going and it's easier to start back up when you're going downhill. You also don't want to be too loud because you're going to scare wildlife. You'll make it where other people can't enjoy what you've enjoyed.
Hi, my name is Steve Irwin. It's right over there. It's a duck. It's the most venomous creature in all of the planet. It can run up to 65 miles an hour. It can swim 105. I'm gonna go try and poke it with a stick. Unfortunately, the duck won't allow me to go over there and poke him with a stick. But note to self, don't touch wildlife.